Good morning, all of you. So, we were discussing with the chapter Thermal Properties of Matter. We'll continue with that. And today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is change of state. Change of state. So, matter exists in three states mainly, which are they? Solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, from your smaller classes, In addition to these three states, there are various other states of matter that you will study later. So, these are the main states of matter. Right. Now, the process of converting one state of a substance into another state is known as change of state of a substance. Understood? That is, if I want to convert the solid ice to liquid water or liquid water to gaseous vapor, like that, means from one state to another. That conversion from one state to another is known as change of state of a substance or a matter. Okay, how can you change the state? Yes, you can change the state either by absorbing heat or by rejecting heat, isn't it? If I heat some cubes of ice, it will turn to water, another form, right? Another state of matter. So, likewise, you can change from one state to another state by the absorption or rejection of heat. Okay, the common changes of states are, first of all, solid to liquid, and the reverse, that is the vice versa. What is that? Liquid to solid. Okay, now the second one mainly liquid to gas, and similarly from gas to liquid. So these are the common forms of changes of state. Okay. So the changes can occur when the exchange of heat takes place between the substance and its surroundings. Understood? The changes can occur when the exchange of heat, there should be some heat exchange, right? That is from higher temperature to lower temperature. Likewise, there should be some exchange so that there is change of state happens. So changes can occur when the exchange of heat takes place between the substance and the surroundings. Okay, we will discuss it in detail. Now we will look into a topic called effect of heat on ice. Effect of heat on ice. Okay, for that we are doing a small experiment so that will be clear for you. So for this we have an experimental setup like this. Here we have taken some cubes of ice in this beaker, which is at 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now we are heating this beaker with the help of a constant heat supplying source. So this is our source. It supplies an amount of heat to this beaker. Now we have a stirrer here and a thermometer is dipped in this beaker. Okay. And the ice cubes which are placed in the beaker at 0 degree Celsius. Clear? Now we have to supply the heat with the help of a source and note the temperature after every minute and stir the mixture of water and ice continuously, because as you know, when you supply heat, this ice starts to melt, isn't it? And it will melt, and again we will note the temperature, we are noting the temperature, and finally after some time it will turn to which form? Liquid form, that is water. Okay, so we are noting the temperature and it is found that there is no change in the temperature. No change in the temperature. That is, we started to heat this ice which is at 0 degree Celsius. Okay, and it will melt, and after some time it will turn to liquid form, that is water. But during that period, whenever we notice the temperature, there is no change in temperature for so long as there is ice in the beaker, even heat being continuously supplied to the system. Understood? That is, the temperature remains constant until the entire amount of the solid substance melts. Here the solid substance is ice and the temperature continue to remain constant. Because we have a thermometer, we can note the temperature. So, it is seen that the temperature remains constant until the entire amount of the solid substance melts. Okay. So, both the solid, that is the ice, and liquid, water, coexist in thermal equilibrium. Okay. Thermal equilibrium is a condition where the solid state and the liquid state coexist during the change of state from solid to liquid. Okay. After the whole of ice gets melted into water, then again we are heating, we are supplying the heat. So again, as we give heat or as we continue heating the beaker, we know that the temperature begins to increase till it reaches nearly 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, this is the melting point of ice. This is the boiling point of water, isn't it? So, starting from 0 degrees Celsius until the ice converts into water, there was no change in the temperature, and it is noticed that the temperature begins to increase till it reaches nearly 100 degrees Celsius when it again becomes steady. Understood? This point you can plot in a graph, or you can plot a graph for the change of state of ice on heating. Understood? So if you are plotting a graph, you will get the graph like this. That is, in the x-axis, you can mark the time. Okay, or the duration in minutes. Now in the y-axis, you can mark temperature. Starting from 0 degree. Here it is 100 degree. Okay. So for some time there was no change in the temperature. So that point it is constant. It remained as 0 only. Okay. That is the point where you can say it is the melting of ice into water. Okay. After some time it start to rise and it will reach a point where the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. Again it will remain constant. So this point is actually what? Conversion of water to vapor or steam. Okay, that means during that change of state, the heat supplied is used for that purpose. The heat supplied is being used to change the state of water from liquid to vapor at that period. Okay. So, it is noted that the temperature remains constant until the entire amount of liquid is converted into vapor. So, here it remained constant as the complete ice turned to water. Similarly, again the liquid form, when it gets completely converted to steam only, there is change in the temperature. But during that phenomenon, during that process where the conversion happens, the temperature remains constant. Clear? So for a constant heat supply, you can say that the change of state takes place with no change in the temperature of the system, with no variation in the temperature of the system. Okay for you? Okay. Now we can discuss some terms related to this change of state. That is, first of all, melting. Melting, you all know what is melting. It's the process of change of state from solid to liquid. Okay, change of state from solid to liquid. It is known as melting. And the temperature at which solid starts to liquefy is known as the melting point. So melting point means the temperature at which the solid starts to liquefy. Okay, the process of change of state from solid to liquid is known as melting, and melting point means the temperature at which the solid starts to liquefy. That is known as the melting point. Clear? Now the second term is fusion. Be clear with this, okay? Fusion. Fusion means it is the process of change of state from liquid to solid. Liquid to solid. Okay, and the temperature at which liquid starts to freeze is known as freezing point. The temperature at which the liquid starts to freeze is known as the freezing point. Clear? So two processes we have discussed. First one is melting, that is from solid to liquid, that is ice to water. Again, fusion means from water to solid. Okay, if you are placing the ice tray outside in the normal temperature, it will turn to water. Again, if you are taking this water in ice tray and keep it inside a refrigerator, means it will start to form the solid form, that is the ice cubes will be formed, right? So these are reverse processes. First one is melting and this reverse is fusion. This is melting point and the next one is freezing point. Clear? Okay. Now the next point is vaporization. Vaporization. Vaporization, as you know, it is the process of converting liquid to vapor form. The process of converting liquid to vapor form is known as vaporization, and during the change of state, as we have seen, the temperature remains constant. That means both liquid and vapor states of the substance coexist in thermal equilibrium. The temperature at which the liquid and the vapor states of the substance coexist is called the boiling point of the liquid. Once again, the temperature at which the liquid and the vapor states of the substance coexist is known as what? The boiling point of the liquid. Clear? And finally, next one is sublimation. Sublimation. Sublimation means the process of change of state directly from solid to vapor. Okay? Solid to vapor. Clear? The process of change of state directly from solid to vapor. You have seen like naphthalene balls, then camphor, etc. When it burns, what will happen? It is converting from solid to vapor state. So such phenomenon is known as sublimation. Okay. So melting, then fusion, vaporization, sublimation. Similarly, the points like melting point, then freezing point, boiling point, etc. Clear for you? Now, what is the effective pressure on the boiling point of a liquid? Just keep in mind that the boiling point of a liquid increases, okay, increases with the increase in pressure. If the pressure increases, the boiling point also increases. That means, for example, at 1 atmos is the unit of pressure, you know. So at 1 atmos, let the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, standard value. And when it is increased to 2 atmos, the value increased to 128 degrees Celsius, which means that the boiling point increases at high pressure. Okay, so this is a point to note here. Now we are moving to another term which is very important, that is triple point. Triple point. So now you have seen that the temperature of a substance remains constant during its phase change or during its change of state. So now here we can plot a graph between pressure and temperature. Pressure and temperature for a substance can be plotted in a graph, which we call it as the phase diagram. Phase diagram, or you can call it as PT diagram. P for pressure and T for temperature. So here in this diagram, we will take a particular substance. For example, for water, if you are considering water, it has different states of matter like liquid, then solid and gas, that is water, then ice and vapor. So in this particular diagram or graph, the full section is divided into 3 sections like solid region, liquid region and vapor region. Okay, and these regions are separated by certain curves. So let us check the diagram and then you will understand. So this is the phase diagram for water. Here you can see there are 3 sections, solid, liquid and vapor, and they are separated by different curves. So first of all, this curve we'll call it as the sublimation curve. Okay, we can name it as B, then O for this point, and finally it is C. Okay, now this curve we call it as the sublimation curve, and this curve we'll call it as the fusion curve. Fusion curve, and this one as the vaporization curve. Okay, so these 3 curves represents the states in which solid and vapor phases, then solid and liquid phases, and liquid and vapor phases coexist. Understood? Here this point, that is solid and vapor phase. Okay, again liquid and vapor phase. Okay, then solid and liquid phase. So these 2 phases each, how they which point they coexist, that is what represented in this diagram by the 3 curves. Now the temperature and pressure at which all the 3 phases of a substance coexist simultaneously is known as the triple point of the substance. So we were discussing about the triple point, and there is a particular temperature and pressure at which all the 3 phases of a substance, okay, for water, solid, liquid and vapor state. So all the 3 phases of a substance coexist simultaneously is known as the triple point of the substance. Okay, for example, the triple point of water is represented by the temperature 273.16 Kelvin, and the pressure is 6.11 into 10 power minus 3 Pascal. So at this temperature and this pressure, the 3 phases of water will coexist. Understood? So this is called the triple point of a substance. Now in this graph, you can see that in this curve, that is the curve BO, the point on the sublimation curve BO represent a state in which the solid and the vapor phases coexist. Right? The point on the vaporization curve represent the states in which the liquid and the vapor phases coincide, and similarly the point on the fusion curve, let it be A, okay, AO, the curve AO represent the state in which the solid and the vapor phases coexist. Clear for you? So these are the different states which can be expressed in the same diagram, which we call as the PT diagram. Okay. Now we will move to one of the important topic in this lesson, that is latent heat. So in the last class we have discussed specific heat capacity and different types also. Today we are going to discuss latent heat. So latent heat, first of all I will define the term, then we will explain. So the definition goes like this. That is, the amount of heat transferred per unit mass during the change of phase of a substance, okay, without any change in its temperature. Once again, latent heat means the amount of heat transferred per unit mass during the change of phase of a substance without any change in its temperature. So, as you have seen in the first experiment for ice cubes, there you are supplying a particular amount of heat in order to change its phase from ice to water, right? Even though there is no change in the temperature during that change, we are transferring certain amount of heat to that substance. Here we are taking ice. Okay. So that amount of heat transferred per unit mass during the change of phase of a substance without any change in its temperature. It is known as latent heat. So latent heat is denoted by the letter L and its unit is joule per kilogram. Why? Because it is the heat, isn't it? Amount of heat. It is a form of energy. So its unit is joule. Transferred per unit mass. So heat by mass. That is Q is the heat and mass is M. Q by M. And the unit is joule per kilogram. So for L I can write Q by M. Okay. So if M is the mass of a substance undergoing a change from one state to another, then the quantity of heat required is given by Q is equal to M into L. Or the latent heat can be expressed as Q by M. Okay. So during the phase change, the heat required by the substance depends upon what all factors? Mass of the substance and the heat of transformation. Understood? During the phase change, the heat required, that heat is latent heat. It depends upon mass M of the substance and also the heat of transformation which is given by Q. Clear? Okay. So next is types of latent heat. There are two types of latent heat of materials. First one is latent heat of fusion. Okay, latent heat of fusion, and it is denoted by LF. It is given by LF is equal to Q by M, the same equation only. So this is the latent heat required for which phase change? From solid to liquid state change. Solid to liquid state change. Okay. It can be fusion or melting. For both you can call like this. So LF is equal to Q by M. Again the unit is joule per kilogram. Okay. Now the second type is latent heat of vaporization. Second one, latent heat of vaporization. So it is the latent heat for liquid gas change. Liquid gas state change. It is denoted by LV. Okay, you have to write it as suffix LV and often referred to as latent heat of fusion. As heat of fusion and heat of vaporization. So it is given by LV is equal to again the same equation Q by M. Okay, so its SI unit is joule per kilogram. So just keep in mind that there are two types of latent heat of fusion and latent heat of vaporization. First, you have to understand what is fusion, what is vaporization, what is sublimation, the types or the terms related to the change of state, and finally you have to study latent heat. Don't get confused with specific heat and latent heat. So be thorough with this topic, and the balance of this lesson we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you all. Have a nice day.